Good morning, world.
Good morning out there. Real quick, what is an Easter egg hunt, a 66-year-old Uber Eats driver, and a homeless felon have in common? Stay tuned, and we're going to tell you coming up. But before that, make sure you like, subscribe, ring that bell, and share our videos with everyone you know. I'm Cedric.
And I'm Brian, and this is Cedric and Brian. All right, Cedric, now that you've got our audience intrigued,
Yes, got him.
Do they have anything in common?
It's yeah, they do a little bit. Just the hypocrisy of our media and what they choose to put out there and what they choose not to put out there. So that's probably the only thing they have in common.
All right, so let's hit them first with Easter eggs.
Yes.
What is it about Easter eggs that didn't make the news?
Well, I think you can put that up there real quick, this little screenshot. The University of North Texas, as you guys know, this is Easter week, Holy Week, whatever you want to call it. And people all over the world, whether they're Christians or not, put little colored Easter eggs around their homes, their universities, tall grass, and they put in dollar bills, they put in coins, they put in candy. This University of North Texas decided to put Bible verses in the Easter eggs, about 250 of them.
How dare they?
For the college students to go and find. Now this coincides with Christmas. The reason that there's an Easter break and the reason that there's a Christmas break is because of Easter and Christmas. It's not happy holidays during Christmas. It's not spring break during Easter.
No, it's winter solstice, and
Winter
it's
solstice?
the vernal equinox, I think it is. Or
We mixed
break.
it all up. We mixed it all up. Anyway, there's a leftist group on this campus who is just in outrage that they would have the audacity to put Bible verses in these eggs. To which some of the students said, "Can't wait to go out there and stomp on some eggs. Can't wait to crush some eggs." And we talked about this in our last video with Tom McDonald. Whether you believe in Scripture or not, whether you're secular, whether you're Christian, there are some principles in there that are true and can be applicable to anybody in life. So if you don't like the verse, throw it away. But to have this outrage over the Easter egg hunt, it's a damn shame.
It's worse than that. It's an Easter egg hunt. Easter is a Christian religion. So if people don't want to participate in the Christian religious ceremony, then don't participate.
Take your butt home for your spring break.
Yeah, or just don't go look for eggs. But why are you going to spoil it for people that want to celebrate? Could you imagine if they did this to any other religion?
Oh, jeez.
And said, "Oh, we're going to do this for Ramadan or something." They went out and they protested. I mean, come on. It's whether you're religious or not, you don't have to participate in Easter.
That's the difference between people who are on the far left against people who are on the far right. The far left, when they don't agree with you, not only do we disagree with you, we're going to make sure we ruin whatever you are celebrating.
Yeah, we got to stop it.
Yeah. The far right's like, okay, I don't agree with you, so I'm not going to participate.
Yeah, I know. So anyway, I don't know if you've heard that story, and it's a shame it's coming out of Texas, I know. But you know what? It's a university. Even the University of Wyoming is woke, and they're in Wyoming, for God's sake. So we thought we'd bring that. That's story number one.
Yes, because we're coming up on Easter this Sunday.
Yeah, that's the lightest story we have.
Yeah.
Now we have something that I'm sure you've heard at least one of these stories. But the first one is about, I bet you don't know the details about that, about the older Asian woman who was brutally attacked, I think broke her hip, is in the hospital still, I think.
Yes.
And why did you not hear about it? Because it wasn't committed by a white supremacist like myself, right?
The old skin game.
Yep.
It's a black male, I believe 36 years old, in New York, I believe Manhattan. And back in 2002, this idiot, I'm trying to think of a harsher word, but we are for kids as well, so we can't say a lot of things we want to say. But this idiot stabbed his own mother 3 times in the chest, and she died 2 days later. So he was put in jail. This idiot was let out on parole. And so he's out walking the streets now because the prisons were filled with COVID, so they decided to let him go. Let's let the murderer go and put him back on the streets. And he came upon the Asian woman that Brian was talking about and started beating her and pummeling her, saying, "You don't belong here. We don't need you here. Go away."
Sounds like white supremacy to me.
Well, then is that the story you're talking about where someone said this is what white supremacists is all about?
Yeah, so Even though this wasn't committed by a white person, it is still because of white supremacy. So the mental gymnastics people will go through to defend a heinous crime that is not committed by a white person is just amazing.
The part that's really crazy to me is like, okay, you have an individual who murdered his mom back in 2002, stabbed her 3 times, put him in prison. Obviously, there's something going on. There's something amiss upstairs with his mental capacity. You don't put him in some type of program. You put him in a homeless shelter. This guy got out of prison, so you take a guy who's convicted of murder and you put him in a homeless shelter. That is just a concoction for just some buffoonery and some stupid stuff that's going to happen, which it did.
Shenanigans?
That's beyond shenanigans. But why wasn't he in some type of program? Obviously, there's something wrong with him.
Why? He should have been in jail. He killed his mother, for God's sakes. A program? Really?
Yeah. I was trying to find a nice way to do it, but I just couldn't. A lot of you get on, it's like we do a lot of lighter stuff. That sometimes this is not the episode for that. There may not be a lot of light stuff to talk about and make jokes about.
Which leads us to our last story that you probably heard. And I did not know the races of anybody involved, which, of course, when that white guy shot the massage parlors, we knew immediately he was white. His face was plastered everywhere.
Yes.
So you guys probably have heard about the Uber Eats driver.
Mohammed Anwar.
Yep.
66-year-old immigrant from Pakistan, I believe, came over here to America because that's what all immigrants do. They come to America for a chance for opportunity, a chance to do well, to make some money, to do better for their families. That's what this man was doing. And so he was going about his Uber Eats day when he was carjacked by not men, not old men, but 13 and 15-year-old black girls. You may have heard this story now because it's been circulating. You sure as heck didn't hear about it on the mainstream media because they don't put those type of news out.
Well,
so anyway,
and when I first heard it, they didn't list the races of the 2 girls. But my mind went directly to they must not be white because they didn't put white. And that's how you have to read the news now. If you don't see a race, it's not white if they're a perpetrator.
Yes.
But if it's white, they're going to put white.
Right. Brian hasn't watched the video yet. I watched the video. We were just about 20, 30 minutes ago. We were downstairs talking to his wife about it. She saw it. And Brian said, I just don't want to see it. We're not going to put it here. We're not going to put it in the description page. If you want to go look it up on your own, by all means do that. But it's pretty gruesome. As this poor man, the girls are in his car. They have a taser. And I don't know if he thought he was joking because how often do you get carjacked by a 13 and 15-year-old girl? And so he's in the driver's side and the door's partially open. They speed away in the car with the man hanging out of the car. And they're bumping in and careening into other cars, light posts. And the way I understand it, because I had a hard time watching this video as well, is that the man was thrown from the car and landed face down, arms and legs mangled, died instantly. And these two...
Well, it's because the car rolled over on him, right?
Well, and I think as they took off, they rounded the corner, and that's when the car...
Yeah, flipped on him, right?
Flipped on him.
Yeah.
And so, why didn't you hear about this story? Because the George Floyd story is still in the news as they're going through the jury process.
They're going through the case now.
They're going through the case now. George Floyd is still in the news because it never left the news. Because it fits the narrative. White man kills black person. We keep that in the news 24/7. This news got to the back of page 8 to the bottom because it doesn't fit the narrative. And
speaking of that, the white guy who shot up all the people at the supermarket.
Yes.
When they found out he wasn't white.
Oh yeah, that got moved back. That's on page 10. That's in the ads section.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not even the major section of the newspaper anymore.
So if we want to throw that back to George Floyd, obviously there's a hard burden of proof to say that there's second or third degree murder here. And I know people are emotional about this. But again, this whole thing was set up as racist cop. There is not one iota of proof that this had anything to do with race.
Right.
It was a cop who works in a predominantly black area.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
If you're a cop and you work in a predominantly white area and you kill somebody, you're going to kill probably a white person.
Right.
Or you're going to interact with a white person. Right. So the way that they make everything about race, you have to read between the lines because things are going to get scary here in a little bit because either way this case, and I hate to close with this, either way this case goes, if Chauvin gets off because they tried to overcharge him, there's going to be riots. If he doesn't get off and they charge him for something less, there's probably going to be riots. There's already protests right now.
Right.
There's already protests.
But we're not closing yet. I got a few more things I need to say.
Okay.
Okay, and here's the thing with the 13 and 15-year-old girl, and I will apologize. I'll come back on here. Me and Brian will do a special episode, and I will apologize if I'm wrong, but I want to know, where in the hell is Dad? If you ask me, I'm sure Dad is not around, or if he is around, he's probably rolling around town, smoking weed, wearing his throwback jersey, bumping rap louder than he should be, because he's just not a part of these girls' lives. I believe one of the girls, this is like her second time being convicted of something like this. And these two little heifers, which very well they should have been swallowed instead of inserted in someone's uterus, had no business being out in the streets. I feel that passionate about it. What they did was just cruel and unusual and just inhumane. And when the car flipped, as Brian said, instead of getting out and seeing the man sprawl down the street, fighting for his life, I think he died instantaneously, one of these girls got out and she looked and said, "Where's my phone?" And other people are like helping this girl look for her phone, and this man is laying dead. But that's a microcosm of our society today. We skip over stuff and let's tend to the POC. Oh my goodness, these poor little girls. Look at they're going through a terrible tragedy. I heard some idiot say like, well, that's the guy's fault. He should have just gave up the car. No, these two little, I'm struggling here to not say things I should. These two girls shouldn't have stole the car. That's where it starts. It wasn't his fault. He was out here trying to make a living to earn something for his family. And I will try and end with this.
Well, that's what they hear on the news, though. When all the looting and rioting was going on, you know what you saw on the news? Yeah. The mainstream media, they got insurance.
Yeah.
So that makes it okay? That makes it okay to steal from somebody else?
Yeah. And I'll have to read this real quick. And this happened, if we didn't say it earlier, this happened in the great city of Washington, D.C. And I believe their mayor, Muriel Bowser. And I know this to be fact. Had the racial roles been reversed, had it been
two white
kids and jacking a black guy, this would have been on the news.
Well, it wouldn't even have to be a black guy because it was a Pakistani, so it would have fit their narrative. Two white racial racists, white supremacists attack Pakistani Muslim man. Right? But since it's two black girls, it didn't eat nothing. Yeah. And she put out a PSA, the mayor of Washington, D.C., not condemning it. She said, here's the steps you can take not to get your car carjacked. It was called, quote, to reduce the risk of your vehicle being a target, end quote. Because obviously it was his fault for going out and making a living and working for Uber Eats. And then I guess they put the hashtag, protect your auto. Could you imagine if we said that, remember with the whole Me Too movement? And if anybody said anything about a woman, how can you blame the victim? Yet they're going to blame this victim. I don't get it. Anyway, now one of our more light-hearted episodes you guys are used to. We'll get back to that shortly. We have the last in our trilogy of Tom McDonald videos. It's going to be coming up really soon. Yep. So we'll be doing that. And then comment. Yeah, we have to do our comment. You got that ready? I got the comment. Okay. All right. So this was from the Digital Blackface episode that we just put out last Thursday? Tuesday. Yes. Just Tuesday. 2 days ago. So this person said, it says Smith 1791, or IR Smith 1791, about digital blackface. He said, I hadn't heard of it until this video, but I can tell you it is FKNBS. What does FKN mean? Freaking. It's freaking bullshnikey. Yes. Bull sugar honey iced tea. So he hadn't even heard of it until our video. So we are educating you. Right? Who would have ever thunk? We try to bring you wokeness from every angle. This is sad. But it's exciting. We got Easter coming up. Hope you guys spend that time with your family and friends. We got our last Tom McDonald coming up. And Brian may edit this part out, but we're going to be traveling next month. So we might be doing a special episode. Yeah, maybe we'll do something from the great state of Tennessee and the fantastic city of Nashville. So yes. We'll be there in about 2 or 3 weeks. Yeah, so. Exactly. All right. So if I forgot, make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, make sure you ring that bell, get your hats. Got to get your hats. And share our videos with everyone you know. And please comment. Yes. Until next time, again, happy Easter. I'm Cedric. And I'm Brian. See you later.
Peace.